Good morning, and welcome to Winchester Unitarian Society, a nexus of progressive religion in the Mystic Valley. We have all come here from different directions, by different routes, with different stories. We are Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Muslims, atheists, other, and not specified. But we've all arrived here together in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Subscribing to different theological beliefs or not, we share a set of common values. Among them, an affirmation of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Whatever path it may be by which you came here, we're glad that you made it. You're most welcome. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, our minister, Reverend Heather Janulis, is away for a summer leave of reflection and study, but that needn't stop us. During the summer, services are designed and led by members of the congregation. Today's service leader is Lee Barton. Hi, Lee. After the service, around 11:30, there will be a discussion of today's sermon in the parlor. And if you'd like to participate in the discussion online, you can do that. Just sign in to, listen, tinyurl, that's all one word, .com/WUS worship, and that's all one word. Again, www.tinyurl.com/WUS worship. We're happy to see everyone here in the sanctuary this lovely summer morning. And I also want to acknowledge the folks joining us through the online live stream. Let's say hello to them by waving right at the camera up there by the welcoming congregation banner. And now, those of us who can, let's take a moment to greet each other in person. And now, let us open our hearts and minds to the spirit of worship.
Welcome to this place. This is a home where no revealed truths are promoted and no scripture or human being is accepted as infallible. This is a place for searching for truth. But we are believers. We believe in intellectual freedom. We believe in justice. We believe in compassion and concern for each other and the whole world. We believe in commitment to those ideals which make us caring and active in the struggles for human dignity. We are Unitarian Universalists. I now invite Peter McEntee to kindle our chalice. The words of dedication are by Tracy Bleakney.
This chalice burns with twin flames. The first flame burns for those who seek and defend the right to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, so that each person may live according to conscience in a democratically elected society. The second flame burns for the defenders of freedom, working against those who would impose their own religious beliefs on others through intimidation or legislation. May we tend this fire always, ever vigilant and courageous in the struggle for freedom and justice for all. And now, please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Complicated choreography. We've now come to the part of our service referred to as Joys and Sorrows, where, if you wish, you may come up and light a candle to memorialize either a joy or a sorrow or a concern that you have on your mind or your heart. Please remember that the service is being live streamed, so when you come up, may be seen by many more people than you see here today. If you wish, you may give your name and please say a little bit about what is your joy or concern. If you don't want to come up here and you would like a candle brought to you, just raise your hand and it will magically make its way to you. All right.
Good morning, I'm Sheila. I want to light a candle for the people of Maui. For the people of Maui, I'd like to light a candle.
I like to light a candle because I'm going into second grade.
Good morning, I'm Sheila Rudolph Correa, and I have been going through some mental health struggles lately, but I want to light a candle of joy for some very good friends of mine who've been helping me a lot recently, especially for Fritzy, who metaphorically held my hand while I made some annoying phone calls.
I guess I would like to light a candle to celebrate that in just under 2 weeks. I'm going to be flying to Berlin, Germany, where my son now lives with his wife. And hopefully I'll see him, but mostly I'm going to be spending 2 weeks intensively studying, trying to improve my use of the German language. It's an opportunity I've been looking forward to for a long time, so I'm really excited. And if there's no one else, I'm going to light one final candle for all of the unspoken joys or sorrows or concerns that any of us and all of us have on our minds and hearts. And now we will sit in silence for a minute or so, after which we will sing hymn number 86 in the Gray Hymnal, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Today's reading is from an essay by Charles V. Ford, MD, entitled Lies, 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 The Psychology of Deceit. There's nothing worse than a liar. You simply must tell the truth. 10-year-old Tyler listened to the same lecture from his mother for the umpteenth time. He had pleaded ignorance when asked how a vase was broken, but his younger sister had told his mother that it happened when Tyler threw a ball at her. Later that afternoon, when Tyler answered a telephone call from the pastor of the family's church, Tyler's mother said in a soft voice, "Tell him I'm not here. All he wants is a contribution for the new steeple."
Good morning. I've recently gotten interested in the phenomenon of lying. There's a lot of it going around. Lying ought to be important to us as Unitarian Universalists because truth is important to us. One of our Unitarian Universalist principles is the free and responsible search for truth. If we care about truth, we should also care about lying, since lying rather obviously interferes with the search for truth. This morning, I want to share with you some of what I've been learning about lying. There's a lot that could be said, and I've only got 20 minutes, so I'll try to focus on things that I found both interesting and surprising. Start with a definition. And this morning, I'll keep it simple. Lying consists in willfully trying to deceive someone, telling someone something you believe is false with the intention of getting them to believe it. It's not true. You know it's not true. You say it anyway. Next question. Who lies? Who are these people who tell lies? This is really important, and in a moment, I'll give you my answer. But first, let's look at a different question. Where does lying come from? What is the origin of lying? We can look at it from 2 points of view, phylogeny and ontogeny. Phylogeny, that's just evolution. How did lying evolve in our species? And ontogeny, how does it evolve in an individual human being? How does a child learn to lie? Okay, first, evolution. When we look around at nature, we see deception everywhere. Animals camouflage themselves. They can pretend to be bigger and more formidable than they actually are. Birds engage in broken wing displays where they pretend to be injured in order to attract a predator away from the nest. One fascinating case of animal deception is the behavior of fireflies. Female fireflies emit a particular pattern of flashes in order to attract males and lure them to mate. But the female of another genus of firefly uses the same flashing pattern, lures the male, and then eats him. Given the pervasiveness of deception in nature, humanity would be a weird species if it didn't lie. Let's turn to ontogeny. How does a child learn to lie? Newborn babies don't know how, but at some point in early childhood, when they're 2 or 3 or 4, they figure it out. As children grow up, they get better at lying. There's an experiment that demonstrates this. Subjects of different ages were given the same task. Drink 2 glasses of different liquids, one tasting good, the other tasting bitter, and convince adult observers that both glasses taste good. First graders don't do so well. Their facial expressions give them away. Seventh graders were more successful. They tried to look just as pleased when the drink tasted bad as when it tasted good. College students really got into it, looked even more pleased when drinking the foul stuff than the good stuff. So, now let's return to the question I posed earlier. Who lies? Answer: everybody lies. I mean, really, everybody. I do, you do, your sainted grandmother does, we all do. We may not like to admit it, we may feel guilt and shame and want to deny it, but just think about it for a minute. We all know how to lie. We learned how as part of our growing up. We belong to a species that has evolved the ability to deceive. What makes us think any of us is special? I know we don't like to admit it. So here are a few examples that may make this uncomfortable truth a little easier to accept. There are romantic lies. In one study, 92% of college students of both sexes admitted they'd lied to potential or current sexual partners. The study's authors questioned whether the other 8% were lying about lying. Women were more likely to lie about having enjoyed sex. Men were more likely to falsely say, "I love you." There are lies in the workplace. One estimate is that a third of job applicants varnish the truth in their resumes. For example, falsely claiming college degrees, saying they'd played on the college football team, saying they'd been the sorority president. And the lies don't stop once you're hired. Managers employ lies to keep workers productive. They lie about opportunities for advancement. They display bursts of staged anger. They play workers off against each other. Advertisers lie, some blatantly, some by mere exaggeration. And of course, there are always the lies of politicians. Doctors lie. In one study, 70% of physicians said they would deceive an insurance company in order to get payment for a patient of limited means. Physicians often tend to slant unfavorable news, maybe saying to a dying cancer patient, "Well, research is developing new treatments every day." Patients lie. "Of course I've been doing my exercises. I don't drink that much." Drug addicts know that lying to doctors is just as effective a way of getting drugs as burglary, and considerably less dangerous. Scientists lie. Darwin borrowed from other scientists without giving credit. Louis Pasteur used a vaccine created by a competitor while claiming he'd created it himself. Modern scientists plagiarize research and fake data. The reasons are easy to see: the pressure to publish or perish, the temptation to see in the data what you want to see. Parents lie to their children. "Look at the present Santa Claus brought you." Mommy and Daddy aren't mad at each other, we're just having a discussion. So there's lots of lying going on. We all know how to do it. We all, in fact, do it. Lying is like sex. It's part of life, even if acknowledging that fact makes us uncomfortable, the way sex made our Victorian ancestors uncomfortable. Of course, not all lies are equal. There's a spectrum that extends from the kinds of lies we forgive or understand or even applaud, and to the lies we condemn. So here at one end of the spectrum, there are the little white lies, things we say in order to avoid hurting people's feelings. For example, "I had a lovely time at your party. Don't you look beautiful tonight?" Nobody is going to tell a bride on her wedding day that she looks anything other than beautiful. Then there are defensive lies that we tell in order to avoid punishment or criticism. "No, Mommy, I didn't take the cookie." Sorry, I was late. The traffic was terrible. We don't necessarily admire these lies, but we can understand them. They're meant to protect the liar, but they're not meant to hurt. There are wartime lies. Humans belong to social groups. Sometimes our group is fighting another group, and we think deceiving the enemy is okay. For example, 1944, the Allies used deception to try to persuade the Germans that the D-Day attack might come at Calais rather than Normandy. Dutch people lied to the Gestapo to protect Jews they were hiding. Moving on to the far end of the spectrum, we come to the aggressive lies, where the liar's goal is to gain advantage or to hurt someone else. Here, for example, are the lies of the salesman who claims that his product has all kinds of wonderful qualities and who hides his product's defects. Here also are the lies of the tobacco industry, knowingly denying the health effects of cigarette smoking, or the lies of the fossil fuel industry, denying fossil fuels cause global warming, a result based on research which they themselves had sponsored. Lies like these are obviously designed to gain a clear advantage. We don't like them, but we can at least understand why they're told. But occasionally, we run into a different kind of liar. Pathological liars, people who lie repeatedly, compulsively, and apparently for no good reason. They tell dramatic stories of their past. They claim to have major awards and accomplishments. They lie even when there's no point to it and where the likelihood of discovery is high. Take the case of Frank Abagnale Jr. In his memoir, Catch Me If You Can, which Steven Spielberg later made into a highly entertaining movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, Abagnale depicts himself as a master con man who successfully impersonated a pilot for Pan American Airways, a doctor in Georgia, a professor at Brigham Young University, and a lawyer for the Louisiana Attorney General's office in Baton Rouge. He says he cashed bad checks worth more than $2 million in more than 26 countries and was pursued by the FBI in an international manhunt. The only trouble is none of this story is true. During the time he was supposedly performing these feats, Abagnale was actually in prison in New York State for petty crimes. The FBI agent he claimed was pursuing him said, "That damn Abagnale uses my name all over the place, but I'd never even met the guy." There seem to be two motivations for this kind of lying. One, a hostile desire to manipulate others, and two, the need to prop up a miserable lack of self-esteem. So, there's a wide spectrum of lies. And our response to a lie seems to depend on the degree of malice we see in it. If the lie is intended to make life easier for us and the people we care about it, then we can understand it and applaud it. If the lie is malicious and hostile, if it shows disrespect or contempt, then we feel assaulted, outraged, betrayed. And once we have been lied to in this way, it is hard to trust again. But there's a final kind of lie I want to talk about. It is, in fact, the most common form of deceit and the most damaging. This is self-deception, the lies we tell ourselves. Examples are numerous. Think of Fredo Corleone in the second Godfather movie. "I'm smart. I'm not dumb like everybody says." Or there's the husband who says to himself after a furious argument with his wife, "She's not really mad. She'll get over it." Or those who believe, in spite of evidence to the contrary, that they're more successful or accomplished or good-looking than they are in reality. There's a paradox about self-deception and it's this: why does it exist at all? Knowing the truth ought to be an advantage in the struggles of life, so how can believing a lie be beneficial? After all, we know there are disadvantages to self-deception. It can cause us to ignore real problems, to say, for example, this lump can't be cancer, no need to see a doctor. It can cause us to make mistakes in planning, be over-optimistic, ignore risks, keep plunging ahead when it's obvious that the plan we've chosen is failing. Furthermore, self-deception makes us vulnerable to being lied to. One of the biggest skills that skillful liars possess is knowing how to tell people what they want to hear. When we're told what we want to hear, we usually don't regard it as a lie. So if self-deception can hurt us, why is it so prevalent? Why do we deceive ourselves? Well, it turns out that self-deception has its advantages. For one thing, self-deception can help us feel good about ourselves. When something good happens, we can say, I did that, and feel successful. When something bad happens, we can tell ourselves, not my fault, I couldn't have done anything, and blame someone else. Self-deception makes us feel great, like heroin. In addition, self-deception can help a person be a better liar. If you first believe the lie, then you're going to appear more sincere when you tell the lie. That's something salesmen are told. The first person you have to convince is yourself. And there's one more advantage to self-deception, and it's a big one. We human beings all want and need acceptance and belonging. The feeling that we're not small and isolated and alone, that we're part of something bigger than our lone selves, that we have support and allies, people who accept us and care about us. We've felt this way since we were children, when we were small and vulnerable and needed our families to nurture us and assure us we were important. Now, as adults, we still have that need. And one way to get that need, that feeling, is to go along with what the people around us say and do. And if all the people in your group happen to have swallowed a lie, and the price of membership in the group is accepting that lie, then why not accept it? Now you belong. You are one of the people who believe this thing. And never mind if it's true or false. The sad fact is that much of the time people are perfectly willing to be deceived. They don't mind being lied to. They hear a story they like and they embrace it. They believe what they want to believe. The story gives them a feeling of belonging, a feeling of, we are the people who believe this, a sense of emotional solidarity that is more important than truth. And of course, when I say they, I also mean we. We are human beings too, and we're kidding ourselves if we don't recognize that we too can be vulnerable to the temptations of self-deception. Scary, isn't it? I think this is the final thing I've learned from my investigations into lying. As Unitarian Universalists, we are committed to the free and responsible search for truth. What I have tried to argue today is that this can be hard, and often the enemy is the enemy within ourselves. So I leave you with these thoughts. We all lie. We all know how to lie. It's easy to believe a lie, to tell ourselves a lie. But just because it's easy doesn't mean it's good. And therefore, we would do ourselves a favor by periodically asking ourselves whether we are falling for the comforting lie in preference to the uncomfortable truth, or the even more uncomfortable fact that sometimes the truth is unknown, even unknowable. And that is at least part of what I think is meant by the free and responsible search for truth.
With the offering, we are asked to make a contribution to help fund the continued operation of this self-supporting church and its many good works. Beyond its practical importance, this is an opportunity for us to exercise and nurture our spirit of generosity so that it may grow. There are several ways you can donate. Those in the sanctuary may give cash, checks, or specie, or donate electronically. Send a text message to the number in your order of service or visit our website under the Giving page. If you're visiting for the first time, either in person or online, you are our guest. In-person attendees can find a physical visitor card in the pew racks in front of you. Please complete it and put it in the collection plate. Information about how to give online and how to complete the virtual visitor card will soon be shared with live stream attendees through the text on your screen. Your generously given offering will now be gratefully accepted. Those who wish to do so are invited to join in the unison affirmation. We gather not for ourselves alone, but to use our common power to build the beloved community within and beyond these walls. We create and reaffirm this covenant this day to make justice flourish, to practice compassion amidst difference, and to embody transformative love. And now, please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn number 142 in the gray hymnal, Let There Be Light.
Feel free to be seated. Our closing words are from Walter Royal Jones, Jr. This is something that we used to say every Sunday when I first came to this church, and it's stuck with me. Mindful of truth exceeding our knowledge and ideals ever exceeding our practice, humbly we gather together, beginning with ourselves as we are, to share the strength of integrity and the heritage of the Spirit in the unending quest for wisdom and love.
Now, please say with me the words printed in your order of service for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Today's service has ended, but our life of service continues. Please join us for coffee and refreshments, and that will be followed by post-service discussion in the parlor at 11:30 or thereabouts. If you'd like to join the discussion via Zoom, the link for that is www.tinyurl, that's all one word, .com/WUS, in caps, worship, and that's all one word, worship, again, www.tinyurl.com/WUS worship.